Boom. Here we go. We are on. And the first question of today is, Coach, why is it that fighters avoid and do not fight each other today? Now, that's how we're going to hit it out of the park like a home run on today's show. That is what we're going to close the show with. We're going to get very in depth on why is it that these athletes do not bump heads with each other. And I'm going to give you such a reality check, and it's going to give you an entirely different perspective of what's actually going on in the sport of boxing and why they're able to get to. There we go. Sorry, I think my mic went out. Errol Spence, right here. Great question. Great statement. They must get it popping. But at the end of the show, what I'm going to do is really explain to you why these things are where they are. And I know you have your own perception, so you'll be able to weigh in. Even during that broadcast, you can let us know what your thoughts and insight is on this topic. But we are going to truly get into it in depth. And I'm going to give you the stuff from inside of the sport. And that's what I do, being from inside of the sport. 3 generations, we're going to make sure that it's very clear to you. And your posts and comments will totally come from left field now when you start to have discussions like this about these people, and you won't be surprised anymore. Let's see where you got where everybody else is shouting out from. Let's bring, yeah, absolutely. We bring in the real boxing science to the people. That's what we're doing here. And it's kind of what we have to do, man. So special shouts out to you, Daryl Richardson, who's constantly on the broadcast. It's good to see you again, brother. Welcome to the show. My fellow brother, fraternity brother, Coach Calvin Sneed out in Fairfax, Virginia. That's on the East Coast. Middle Point from the top or the bottom. Man, what's going on up in the VA? Snack. Everything is good, man. Aerospink, you guys are going to really take a big chunk out of what we have to tell you and explain in very grave detail. So do not unplug this show today, because at the end, we're going to really chop it up on why these type things happen. And I'm a realist. I don't fake it wherever I go. No matter where I go, I don't fake it when it comes down to the sport of boxing or anything that has to do with our fiber. So what the thing that's going to piggyback this entire show is just basically, the things that you have to lift your eyes and see the entire picture of what's going on and what benefits these guys. So let's see what is going on the other tip. My man, let me put my glasses on so I can see your name clear. Our boy is boxing this Saturday. He's 13. Okay. Good luck. Nav Will. Special shouts out to you. Good luck this Saturday. Keep your hands up. Let your punches flow. Make sure you're talking to the kid. so they can understand what they need to understand when you're talking in that corner, or if you're by ringside and you're making sure that the coach, whoever's in the corner, is really relaying the message and how to talk to them so that it gets through. The same kind of advice I gave, one of the recent pay-per-view main events. I always say, make sure you understand that your fighter understands what you're saying. You may understand what you're saying, but it may not be evident to your fighter. So make sure you do that. And that's a science in itself. Yeah, I got you, man. No problem. It's all good. Let me see. Nev Wells, UK. You ain't enrolled in the school of boxing? If you're out in Wales, man, you need to get up there like my man Neil out there in South Wales. That's right. That's your fellow brethren. You got to connect with them. Get up in that school. I love that. And I'm going to give you guys a nice menu of kind of discussions, and I'm going to start popping up the questions and showing. So if you have a question, make sure you drop it down here. Let me see a special shout. What do you recommend for boxers with limited strength and coordination on one side after a major injury? A lot of people, that question is from Daryl Richardson. A lot of people take, these type scenarios and they get panicky, but this is not to discuss what goes on in the school, but inside of the school of boxing, what it was designed for is because I've written rehabilitation training programs. Now, I spent 10 years in the medical profession physically, surgical procedures, orthopedics, neurological, general surgery. So I have so much experience in that world. My biggest narrative was to prevent people from getting on that operating room table. So understand that prehabilitation is one of the things that really go down in the system that I designed myself. Along with one of the mentors that rolled me up under his wing after winning a Super Bowl with Ray Lewis, Mark Asanovich, formerly of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Baltimore Ravens, brought me in under Terry McDonough over at the Jacksonville Jaguars facility and training camps, and learned a bevy of stuff. But they also learned and got revealed that I was one of the best in the world. And so my advice is sort of what his theory was. Prehabilitation is a word that I had to take from him because, this man probably was 15 years my senior, but the experience of winning 2 Super Bowls as a strength and conditioning coach, but not a typical strength and conditioning coach, one that understands anatomy and physiology. And these type individuals are too far in between. And they are like me. I'm more of a breakdown science guy. So in that field, it was the same thing. One of the things that you have to understand that everything starts and it begins with all of the elements of the body that are invisible to the naked eye. So balance is first. The ligaments, the bones, the sockets, the balls and sockets, excuse me, and learning how to what we call digest the information that really makes it simple for you to understand the solid kinematics of human motion. And so I had to write programs around all this, and maybe it took 9 years to do that. I've written, and so we got some great information. And those guys, as they continue to learn in the school of boxing, they get all of those access to all of that type of material. So my biggest thing to do is to tell you is to learn how to do PT. If you don't understand PT, I suggest that you maybe take a spin and jump into one of our kind of what you call our quarters, one of the quarters, the first quarter of the school, and get material, what these type things look like. And then if you want to pop out and quit, whatever, cool. But there you can see it in writing and in visuals with video. So that's what my recommendation is first and foremost, because the honest truth is we're just the best at what we do. There are a lot of other systems that are the best too. The best is a ranking. It's not that I'm saying it's only one spot and we took it. It's just that we belong up there because we earned that spot. I got 30 years of educating myself, period. So I hope that answered your question. You walk in this thing, man. You don't run, and make sure you understand the kinematics of human motion. Kurt Thomas, what's up, champ? Everything is beautiful, man. You know what it is, what we do on every Thursday. We get it popping. Special shouts out to my brother Kurt. He just graduated out of the first quarter of the School of Boxing. So welcome to quarter two, brother. It's time to take it to the next level. Congratulations. I didn't even tell you when I did your testing, but yeah, you passed. So it's time to step that game up, and you're one step closer to being one of Custia model type trainers. That's what we're doing in the School of Boxing. For those of you who have questions, let us know. Holler at your boy. It's going down. All right, now we're going to get into the questions that people have asked. So if you have questions, make sure you pop them in. We will get to you. Lloyd, my guy, Lloyd McCloy. I got to make sure I get all my TSOB, brother. TSOB stands for the School of Boxing. For those of you who did not know, special shouts out to my man, Lloyd, who's diligently posting now. It's finally gotten back into the rhythm. It's good to see you, brother. Keep stepping the game up. The game of boxing depends on you. Fights going down in the future depends on you guys. And I'm going to show you the map to make it happen. Trust me. So let's get it on. Let's see some of the questions that the people got an opportunity to write to me. Let me see. First one. This is really one that I'm going to put towards the end, because this one really goes in depth, and it's pretty much how to go about starting your gym. So if you want to learn how to start your gym, make sure you tune in to the end of the show, and we're going to show you simple ways to begin your gym. And if you don't have a lot of money, or if you do have a lot of money, there's a way to not lose money and enjoy the ride of becoming a business owner, and making sure that you understand offering a service like this requires a lot more. We have coaches right now in gym owners, new gym owners and gym owners that are sinking, that are asking us with panic in their voice how to do this, because they only started the gyms with passion. It's not enough. You got to have a process, a business plan, execution, understand numbers, degree in economics. Yeah, you do. And that's why people are choking, because only 1 out of 100,000 people will open in a place that just kind of gets flooded. Luckily, when you got someone like Jay Glazier, who works for the Fox network and it just has access to the people out in Hollywood that are rich and famous, everybody's not going to have that luck. And he's not doing it for the money anyway. So a gym like that, you basically have to be on a waiting list and you have to get accepted. And that's kind of what it is. And like I told you guys, we're not even a gym now. We are an institute of higher learning. We provide the content for you guys to start your own businesses or roll up under our franchise model and become gym owners with all of the hard and guesswork taken care of for you. That's what we do. You know what I'm saying? So y'all have visibly watched us scale up, and that's what it's all about. So let me see. How do I find a good training camp when I don't have a coach? Will Wilson, my guy. So if you're looking for a training camp, this is a good one, because a lot of guys think they can box, but this guy has boxed amateur and he's boxed professionally. And it goes to show you how tough it is to actually do this, even when you have experience. And we're talking almost 20 years of experience. It's still super tough. So I don't want you guys to be delusional, think you can just come into the sport of boxing and just be here. Man, it is tough. You're not just going to leave your living room and just get into a gym and be a fighter. Having a coach matters. Having a team surrounding that coach matters. You have to understand knowing people and being connected. And that's one of the things that we have in common with those who are searching and the people that are in our school, is that we are connected. And so my advice is to anyone that is looking for a gym is to make calls, but you have to have representation for someone to call, because your words aren't going to land good enough to a coach to convince him to take his eyes off his money bag to take care of somebody who has no experience, no background, and just wants to box. It just does not work that way. You're not going to walk into Apple and ask them to give you free computers. You're not going to walk into Dillard's or Macy's and ask for furniture for free. You're not going to ask to speak to the CEO of the company because they're not there and they could care less about you if you're not spending a mint inside of their stores, period, point blank. And that is the exact same thing that you will run into in boxing. Coaches, and I would like for anyone who's actually been in the gym and has tried to work with coaches and they won't give them the time of day. And if they do, they only give them a certain amount of time a week, a month, and it's not enough to really groom a fighter at all. Zero, zilch, point blank. So first I'll say to Will, get someone to represent you. And that is how you get things done. Let them handle that. And if you have value, someone will represent you. But if you don't, and that person has to have some kind of boxing cachet in the sport, and they got to have some kind of name. No one's no one's listening to a nobody in this sport. Boxing is very funny. That's why when you get your spot, you better keep it. You've seen top guys get kicked out and not be able to get back into the marquee status. How do I learn to teach boxing? If I used to fight Antoine. So this is kind of what I've always said. People say, well, if you never fall, how can you teach? This is exactly what that is. If you fall, that doesn't mean you can teach. Training people to fight requires you know how to fight. Doesn't mean you have had to have done it. Being able to train people to fight means you have to understand systematically how to develop muscle memories through drills. Hence is why I always advise you not to take clips from the page and try to use it, because the muscle memory drills were prior to what you saw. That was the finished product. So you'll try to do these things, but you won't know the how, when, and the why. And therefore, it's not a lesson. It is an actual demo. And you don't learn anything about demo except that move exists. But knowing the move and not knowing how to get there is totally the opposite of advantageous. You get what I'm saying? It's irrelevant because I can see you and I can tell you don't understand why you're doing it, when to do it, and truly how to do it. You can fool yourself and pretend that you think you're doing it, but you're not. You'll get exposed in a real fighter, a real trainer watching you. They can tell. So don't get muscle memory trying to do something that you don't understand, because then you'll get so used to doing it wrong, and then you'll get exposed and you won't have the ability to unlearn it that quick. You feel me? So learn how that move comes about. A lot of people don't realize that. And that's what people who typically were fighters, they receive information. They're not used to giving it. Very few can. You got people like Andre Ward. You have the very few athletes that was out there that actually became coaches, like Buddy McGirt, who was a scientist. He thought it. Archie Moore. You can name the maybe 11 fighters in the history. Mark Breland, and he got fired, picked back up by the Charlos. But I'm just trying to give you an example. Derek, John David Jackson. I can name all of them. It's so few of them because it's two different professions. I hope that makes sense. And people like myself and a multitude of others, like the Custia models, we are scientists. We can break down anything physiologically. And when it comes down to fighting, I can really, really fight. I didn't have to do a lot of anything. That's just natural. If I see you throwing something, I know how to do it. But then you learn the schematics of boxing, and then you apply it, and then you get years and years and years of experience. And therefore, it's important that you don't realize this. Most fighters are undereducated with the trainer because it's up to the trainer to give them all their information, and they're not. Trainer's not going to give you all their information. And if it does, a lot of it goes in one ear and out the other. Why? Because you get hit in the head and you're focusing on not getting hit in the head and hitting somebody in the head. And that information just, of course, is sort of like fly by night. And it's very hard to retain it. So that's why it takes so many years, right? So I hope that is cleared up. So learn, get guides. We have guides that aid you. I show them to you guys all the time. We have 6-week training camp. That's how you learn how to do it. You get a process, things that go line by line and make it easy for you. So, Antoine, get this down. My suggestion is either you get the curriculum that we have in the school, or there are other boxing programs you can go out there and get that don't have that extensive library like we do, but they have something. You go out and you do your research and you find some, and you do that. If not, if you need the whole kit and caboodle and you want to open it up from A to Z to work with the youth and guys who are in the amateur ranks at a high level or lower high level, it breaks it all down, the finer points of training and the day by day, line by line, and then you'll get total clarity. The 6-week training camp. And I know our stuff has made it really simple for people. I don't know what everybody else's stuff, because I don't look at anybody else's stuff. And if they do come across my feed, I understand where we rank in the game. Like I said, we're at the top of the food chain. You've seen it scale. And we just pray that everybody pays attention to the information that we're given. So special shouts out to you for hanging on tight, because we got some good conversation. These are some great questions. I need a boxing routine from you guys. Tracy from the UK. Special shouts out, mate. Tracy, yes, we do have good boxing routines. The best thing about one of the things that we have, we made sure that we gave it to people in bite size. And any of you coaches that are listening from the School of Boxing, tell them about your experience. All you got to do is put a line up there. Just let them know. When you get in there, it's an entirely different thing. You don't realize that there's so much available for you because you're just scouring around these social media networks, and you don't have pre-drills. All you're watching is clips, and that'll get you knocked out in the street and in the ring. And because these guys work hours and hours and hours, weeks and weeks and weeks upon months and months and months prior to those drills that you're watching. You know what I'm saying? And they're still not all the way polished when you see them, but they getting the idea. You can't possibly go learn that stuff without the understanding and the vernacular and the vocabulary that goes along with the pre-drills to get you to that point, which takes days and days and days and stuff. We don't just go light it up and just start shooting. It takes us weeks before them guys are ready to do it. So I just want to make sure that you understand that. Tracy, we got you. Tracy, we let her into school, and officially she will be in there and being able to just digest all of the amazing content that we diced up for you. So special shouts out to you in the UK. Congratulations. I think you guys won gold in boxing. HD_Marcus. Why does my coach not think about these things, referring to sparring drills opposed to just sparring? because he either has his marquee guy in the gym and he doesn't have time to waste with you, like my rant at the beginning of this post, or he has not been educated enough himself. Those are the two options. And this question came from my man HD Marcus. I hate hearing that because this guy's in the ring getting hit, and he saw some videos that we were doing in the sparring training where we were doing the catch, carry, and counter. And it's unfortunate that coaches can't stay there. Our guys sparred 5 days in the week, and it's not the kind of sparring you're thinking. It's constantly because you need the muscle memory to be in front of someone swinging at you. And there are different levels and there are different tiers. And so that's why our system is second to none and it's broken down. And I thank God for the mentorship that I had to make certain things clear. But I also thank me for having the mindset that I do to deliver the knowledge in the manner in which I do it, because it's uber important that you pay close attention to what, and not only what, but how we're going about it. And behind that is an absolute institute of knowledge. And that's unfortunate that there are guys, but we are trying to get to every single gym owner and every single trainer so they can have the right way. And what they're doing, it makes it really easy when you are doing it and you're just reading off the page and you can just flow. And it's so easy, man. So the School of Boxing, I can't say enough good things about it. Let me see. I'm gonna take a question, and then we got a couple of other questions that I will take. Is fire. Yeah, your footwork download is fire. I got my youngster on it, and getting the counter punching download next week. Uh, Vernon, or is it Vimu? Let me make sure I can see this right. I got so many lights in my face. Vernon Thompson, we appreciate you. We make sure that it's not only good information, that it is interesting to watch. And it's good to know that we've gotten people who've been in the School of Boxing, which formerly was Master Boxing Academy, but it grew into the School of Boxing and now is into the Institute of Higher Learning, that we have coaches that are looking at the day one stuff 4.5 years later. Still, that is because it's interesting. You continue to hear me say something different every time you watch the videos. And um, the Masterful Footwork 1 teaches you all of the ebbs and flows around the ring and the basic foundation. But Masterful Footwork 2 gives you such insight to in-depth footwork, like the pivoting and the dropping and rolling and the learning how to weave off the pivots and the Ray Robinson and learning how to pivot off of that. These are the things that you see at the highest level. And let me correct that. These are the things that are not even seen at the highest level of boxing. When you see the stuff that we do in our training camp and our videos, you don't even see the top guys doing it. You know why? Because we have the most extensive library in the game, period. And it's nothing to brag about, because the hardest part is to give it to the people in the dosages where they can absorb it. And I hope that is, it's not an arrogant statement. It's about the hard work paid off, and hard work does pay off when you have a mission and you have a plan and you have a team to execute that. You got to have divisions in your company, and we have divisions in our company continually growing and expanding, so that your job is super easy and you can learn how to run a gym, operate a gym, train people, and develop champion level guys where they're getting sponsorships. Your gym's getting banners put in it because people just want their stuff seen in your gym. And that's kind of what we are doing, because that's not our business anymore. Our business is to make sure you have the hottest gym in your region. That's it. Point blank. Great, Vernon. We appreciate your business. And if you're training that youngster, my advice as well is to just think on the school of boxing. Is people don't understand how powerful that is. It's not like anything you can ever imagine, just like living in South Florida or Calabasas, California, where the Kardashians live. You think you know what these people are living like that live out there. You have no clue if you don't live out there. Paradise is a real thing, and it's here on earth, but it's in very few places around the globe. And those two places I just named, they're there. And anybody who's watching this feed that's from these areas, you know, look at it, man. The same thing. You don't know what paradise is until you're actually in it. And that's what the school is. When you are in it, you're like, holy smoke. Wow. So that was a good question, man. Thanks. Hey, bro, can I have a serious question? What's up, Ephraim? Ephraim. Is it Ephraim? Ephraim Garcia. Yeah, if it ain't something vulgar, just make sure you got it sharp. Yo, bro, I was wondering if you can train me personally to become pro. Uh, I don't train people anymore. Our coaches do. And with that being said, I'm going to show you what it looks like when the coaches are truly groomed the right way. And thank you, Efren. And do not take this as a no from me. Being trained by the people that are on our team, my brothers who take it over my joints and stuff like that, they've had 30 years of getting beat on, but my mind is still beside these people. And I'm going to show you one of the coaches, our coach out in Arkansas, who's actually going to the regionals, to the nationals this weekend, Coach Glenn Hudson. I'll let him introduce
Hi,
himself.
I'm Coach Glenn Hudson with Major Moves Boxing and Fitness, located in Sherwood, Arkansas. You cannot lose with the tools you learn inside the School of Boxing. Today's segment, we're going over the step around pivot. We use these vertical and horizontal lines in our gym to help us to understand the pivots. And today we're going over the step around pivot. So when stepping on a shot, I tell myself, or I have an idea of reading, do I want to go on a pivot on a 90 degrees where I complete to the side of my opponent? Or do I want to pivot on a 45 degrees to find the opening? If I pivot the opposite direction, so I throw 1-2, the back leg goes around first, drops here. But whenever I pivot, I'm always in a position to punch. My feet are never behind here. I'm not too wide. I'm in perfect position to punch. When doing any kind of pivots, today was a step around pivot. Know how and when to use it properly. Practice it over and over again to build muscle memory to a point of unconscious competence, which means that you do it like tying your shoes. Don't try to go from a level 1 or a tier 1 to tier 4 overnight. It's a gradual process. Embrace the process. Take your time. Have good mentors and practice diligently. Thank you.
Boom. You see what I'm saying? Like, you can't fake that. That's exactly what we're grooming in the School of Boxing. So congratulations to Coach Glenn Hudson for bringing his guys through the fire, the brimstone, and making it to the nationals. We have a coach in the Olympics right now. Special shouts out to Christine Lopez. Boom, boom. You're doing it big. You guys got a silver medal yesterday. It's a powerful thing. Fighting is for real in the United States, abroad, the globe, because we're making it one move at a time. So that was our coach in quarter 3, Coach Glenn Hudson. Special shouts out. So I hope my man took that as a positive, as the kind of people that we put you in front of, young man, with the last question. Ramirez, what was your name again? Yeah, Mr. Garcia, is that it's a big, big thing, man. Let me see. I've been through a tough time in my life. I have nobody. Can you please? Everybody's been through a tough time. That's the only way. Tough times don't last. Tough people do. You feel me? So make sure you keep your number out there or message it to us. We'll give you a connection and have a call with you and discuss some things, but don't put your stuff out there like that. All right. Nobody likes a soft person because it gets thick in the sport of boxing, brother. And if you are a person that melts under pressure, pressure bursts pipes. But when you are real and you're about that life, pressure makes diamonds. All right. So think that way. Don't think, oh man, it's tough. Everybody's had a tough life, dude. If I could tell you all the things that happen that most people would have just said, screw it, throw it all in the towel and quit, then, but that's not what it's about. It's about understanding that God's putting obstacles in your way to make you tougher because what is coming to you, you need to be tough. As people like Errol Spence, car crash, overcoming. People like Manny Pacquiao, knocked out by Marquez, flat on his face in the 6th round, came back, became top fighter, marquee, fighting at 42 on pay-per-view. Still, that was like 6 years ago. It's all about overcoming moments that will take you under. Mayweather had to go to prison for 3 months in the midst of his prime in his career and came back from that and made more money than ever. You got to realize, man, tough times don't last. Tough people do. But thanks for letting us know. Is that my man, Coach Steve Willis out in Hawkesbury, Canada? TSOB, special shouts out to you, brother. Always doing great things, great inspiration and demo. As always, Coach Glenn Hudson. Glenn is thorough. He's thorough, man. And I love the fact that these guys are humble enough to continue learning. And that's what's happening in the School of Boxing. Y'all hear me say it every week. You don't know what you're missing until you're in paradise. In the School of Boxing, once you land, you will realize all the stuff that you were missing in your life, in your camps, or just in the understanding of how to get a business going or how to actually manage a career. Imagine having me in your corner talking every week. I'm not bragging, but I'm pretty damn good when it comes down to taking your mind and your body and whatever's surrounding you to the next level. You very few people say I went backwards after I got with Coach Eric A. Bradley. Hence is why numbers don't lie. It's a ratio. Medalon Leon is back streamed live. Cody. Okay, dude. How about getting off the page with that craziness, bruh? We doing real things here. Let me see. Special shouts out to my new guys, Paul, who are new members of the School of Boxing. And then we're going to finish off with the statement that was asked first, the question that was asked first. Why is it that these fighters won't fight each other? You have to stick around for this because this will change the level of your boxing IQ and push it to an entirely different level, people. You will know why it's important to know these things. If you are watching or a part of the sport of boxing, you will know how to delegate what's going on. So special shouts outs to our new members. After we finish this, we will get into it. To the School of Boxing. These are the people that if you're training and you're coaches, you're going to be looking out for because they're about to take their game to the next level. Jason Parsons, special shouts out. My man is down here in the dirty South Dakota. You see, it's so far in range everywhere in all the people. So special shouts out to Jason. Abel Padilla out in San Antonio, Texas. Padilla. Abel. Special shouts out. Welcome to the School of Boxing. Bobby Aday, Sheffield, Aladdin, or Alabang. I can't quite read that. But, or Alabama. That's my man. We talked yesterday. Bobby Aday, Sheffield. I couldn't see it on the paper. Alabama. Whoo! Bama is in the building. It is so great to see these guys. Bob Chen, Hong Kong. Special shouts out to you. And he was a referral from one of our other senior coaches in Jonathan Fong. You'll see Jonathan Fong in some of the highlights working with UFC fighter Zhang Wei Li and doing some of the footwork drills with his boys out in Hong Kong. Great video representing the school of boxing. It's down on the timeline. It's amazing. Coach Jonathan, you now will get that. What we do is for people who refer people to the school of boxing, we pay them. So he makes $50 just for telling somebody about him. They sign up, $50 in your pocket. Our thing is to this. We pay whatever we do forward. And it's not about making money, it's about circulating money. So if you're broke right now and you're really sad and you're feeling depressed, don't feel bad. Think about where the last dollars you went to that you had. And if you put it into maybe a stock, maybe something that you bought that you can sell for more than what you bought it for, then you feel okay. But if you spend it on stuff and you can't get anything back from stuff that you or spending it on times that you haven't going out doing things, you got to rethink this and learn. And that's why we have the Institute of Business. So you got to really realize we don't just talk just boxing. We teach you how to be a real man and get out of that situation. So that's what it is. Next, we have Paul Harbor, who's been on our feed. Special shouts out to my man, Victoria. Oh my gosh, Australia. You are in the building. Special shouts out to you, Paul. We finally welcome you. Paul hopped in and finally jumped on board. And it's a pleasure to do business with someone that we know we're going to help you. And I told Bobby in the background while he was on the phone getting his business handle, his wife saying, "You dipping into our vacation money." I said, "Well, you wait till you get into school and watch how you make 10 times what you invested, because you're going to learn. Now you're in the business school area where you can really learn how to turn that. We paying you. You're not paying us. Always remember that. And we paying you, going to pay 10 times of what you paying. All you got to do is follow the basic process." So it's a blessing to be able to help people who are trying to help themselves. And that's how you get ahead. Jamie Cripps, Petersburg, UK. Oh, man. Peterborough, UK. Sorry. Jamie Cripps, the UK. Victoria, Australia. Hong Kong, Alabama, Texas, South Dakota. Raymond, Virgin. Cali. Eureka, Cali. Never heard of it, but special shouts out to California. All of these people, brand new members in the School of Boxing, fraternity brothers. So welcome them all and everybody on the page. It's time to finish talking about boxing. And why is it that boxing is in such a funky place when it comes to matchmaking? I right now will break this down. After, how do you stop closing eyes when sparring? Have a coach that teaches you the drills, or get educated. You can't learn that in a paragraph. That's muscle memory. Drills, hands up, bend your knees, balls of feet, chin down, elbows tucked, hands held high. Look between your gloves, brother, and make sure you keep your head off the line. And when you know all of those things, which you probably don't get that repetition to hear all 7 points, that's what's wrong. People trying to want tips from a dictionary. What does that sound like? It's almost like wanting to know one answer on a exam, and you don't know the rest of them either. But one answer, you want one answer. So think about it, brother. I want you not to feel, like I'm pointing at you. What I want you to realize is that there is more that you don't know. If you don't know that, so What happens when you learn the drill on how to stop closing your eyes? All right. Then what do you think is going to be next that you don't know how to do? And I want you to write it down. Tell me what it is that you also have trouble with outside of your eyes not being open. Because if your eyes is not open, you got a lot of other problems like taking shots. Defense is a problem if you can't keep your eyes open, and offense. So let me know a couple of other things that you feel like you need work on, and then I can continue to help you build your list. And then you've made my case why you need to learn more. And you don't have to learn it under us, because I got a great group of guys. My fraternity brothers are great. I love being close. And then I have brothers who are further out on the elbow in the skills group, and it's 5,000 people in there. But then I have people further out on the elbow on this page, and it's 226,000 of you guys here. So we don't need another friend, but we just want to make sure you understand their courses and training processes and programs that you gotta understand. If your coach ain't going over these things, that's your checklist. You're like, coach, what about this? Do we go? You have to have conversations with the person that's in charge of you. So I appreciate you asking questions. And anybody asks questions, I'm gonna give you the real answer. But if I know your obvious flaw, I'm gonna bring it. I'm gonna bring it front and center. So thanks for asking that question, and I hope that gives you some insight. But it's a real big thing. I see the Alabama. So now we closing it out. I think. Hold up. Javante _80. Who wins the Errol Spence Pacquiao fight? That's a great question. I will add that to it. How do I prepare to start my gym once I've got a space? That's the question. And then we are going to nail the final. I knew it was one. So if you are a trainer or an inspiring trainer, the first thing, and if you have little dough, find a gym that's in your vicinity. This was the advice that I gave the guy who asked, because this is how you get started. Rent space out of a gym that someone has. Make sure you're certified first. Make sure you go to ABC, get yourself certified, or one of the other certification companies, whether it's personal training, whether it's your boxing or your boxing fitness. Then when you really need the curriculum to use, you know where to go after that. But this is a good one that you need to take with you. Understand these components. Allow someone else to take the blunt of the weight when you're learning. So being under the roof of someone else is a way to get yourself started. I did it in big box gyms and so on and so forth, whatever. Then got my little studio, and then to continue to learn how to spend a lot more money. But you have to learn how to be responsible and that things cost. And start out with a number that you're comfortable with, maybe $350 to $550, because you don't understand that that's not really anything. But when you start getting used to paying it, you might even be able to get it cheaper than that. Just try to work out a thing with someone who has a gym that they want a little money extra. Guys who have gyms want extra money. I mean, not extra money. There's no such thing as extra money, but that benefits them because that gives them a stream of revenue coming in. Find hours that work around the times that they're busy so you won't be in their way. And then operate like that until you start to build and develop and have money put to the side and learn how to market. And if you need to know how to market, you have to come and learn how to market, because you got to learn how to market yourself. And so you can get a big following of customers like we have. The next thing, if you do have money, you have to have your plan written out before you go and open the gym. You have to have your programming done. And that's what we provide. We provide content and programming and mentorship and guidance in business. We're about to do another workshop in our next week, 2 weeks, I think. Make sure you sign up. I have that link in the description. Most of you don't take a lot of time and do that. You go snag the footwork and the heavy bag stuff, but you got to learn that you got to learn how to make revenue so you can grow and expand. And we're having a workshop, and it's a real one. And yes, you have to pay to be a part of it because you're going to learn how to make money from someone who's in this business and that is pretty damn successful in it. All right. So you wouldn't take it from Joe Schmo who's eating pork and beans out of a can because he has to, because he's making bad decisions. You can't learn from somebody who's not doing well. My thing is to help those guys out of that situation, because when I was at a point in time, in pivotal time, a mentor told me, Eric, eat pork and beans and beanie weenies out of a can for 6 months. Do whatever you got to do, but make sure you stack your money to invest. And I didn't do that, but I doubled down and I made it happen. And so when you're doing that, make sure you're making the decisions that you have those things planned out, knowing what programming, knowing the pricing. And that's what you guys got to hear when I played the rest of the video in the School of Boxing with Coach Dino from world famous Fifth Street Gym, Muhammad Ali's former home down in Miami, South Beach. Hello, get it? So you got to know all of these things. You can't be assuming, and you can't just, oh, well, I'm just not going to know this stuff. I just want to have a gym. You got to know the cost. You got to do the breakdown. You need to understand economics. And if not, you're going to have a failing program. There are guys who've had gyms for years, never had the opportunity to take a vacation because they don't know how to do it right. We live on vacation because we live in paradise. And that was because of business decisions. No one works harder, but we always come back to this point. Numbers don't lie. Men lie, women lie more. Numbers don't. Your numbers, the people who support you, the people who invest in you, what you and your accounts look like, what you're giving back, what you're paying forward, who you're helping in charity, what you're doing. Just your all around numbers don't lie. So go to your checking account, look at it, savings account, look at it, investments, look at it, bills, are they paid? If those boxes aren't checked, if you're stressed out and you and your girl, you're battling because of that, it's because you're doing things wrong. So you got to be where you learn to do things right. And it's not an easy undertaking because being structured goes against our natural DNA as mammals. Think about that. It's not your fault. We were wired to not do things right. And in business, things have to operate accordingly, and you have to learn how to follow a process, and therefore embrace the process. And that's what we do in the School of Boxing. So special shouts out to my brothers in the School of Boxing who will be the richer guys, in training because they're learning how to do it, and not only skills, but process, and knowing how to win major tournaments like we're doing right in front of you. So you can't question it because we're doing it right in front of you. I'm throwing somebody on the screen that's in big tournaments every week, and they're under our tutelage. And it's because we're guiding these individuals. They got institutes, gyms, facilities, followings. It's all because they're following the process. I hope that's clear. Next is, why is it that Gervonta Davis thing? And somebody asked, where do I get those gloves? I'll make sure that those gloves are at. Now, back. The fact of the matter is this. The business of boxing is based upon supply and demand, right? I'm going to make it really simple. Why is it that fighters do not fight? I'll go back to the Teofimo Lopez fight with Kambosos. Special shouts out to George Kambosos. He's keeping his training camp down in South Florida. Smart, because that's where you're going to get the killer work. All the fighters in the world, they're truly, truly, truly bringing the smoke, or down here in the dungeon. We at the bottom, baby. This is the tropical land. That's why they call South Florida an island. Excuse me? So, what you're going to know when it comes down to it is supply and demand. So, supply and demand. Excuse me, I hear something going on. Supply and demand is this: the fighters cannot have an event if the demand isn't what we call over the bounds of plenty. That wave of what we call, when you used to see Mayweather put on those things, those pre-fight energy builders promoting the fight, and you got Mike Tyson, who used to bring that energy, and Muhammad Ali, who used to have it, and Prince Hamed used to have these buildups, and the numbers of what it costs to put on an event from guys like Bob Arum and Don King. If these fights don't have that level of energy and embody a volcano, Eric Morales, Barrera, 1, 2, and 3. If it doesn't have the smoke like that, you're going to be out of pocket way more than you bringing in, because it's a lot of mouths to feed, and the fighters want a lot of money. I've been on the promotional side, aiding in that side of the game. And when you don't understand what goes out and fighters pulling out, I'm talking about at the weigh-in, because now they feel like they have leverage, because if you don't pay them what they ask for, they won't fight. And that happens. So to prevent all of these things from happening, promoters put you against, let's just use two fighters as an example. Ryan Garcia against Tank. What happens is now they have social media to get a read on it. And they can basically say, like we say on our page, I'll put a video will go up. All right. Our admins put the video up, right? I'll know what the video is going to do. They'll know what it's going to do. Soon as that video go up. Why? Because we understand the supply and the demand for that type video. We just put up a peekaboo video, just a little 15-second blur, 7,000 views in like 20 minutes. Why? Because people are interested in that. So what they have to do is put a little content out there. Javante saying something to Ryan. They can know, based upon the number of retweets, interaction, impressions, how much that fight's going to make. That right there tells them no way. Every once in a while, they drop the ball because they get greedy, like Eddie Hearn did when Anthony Joshua was supposed to fight Deontay Wilder. And it's called market value. You want to see Errol Spence versus Crawford, but both of them are putting a lot on the line. But Crawford's market isn't big enough. Errol Spence's market is only big if he's fighting big names. He can't go fight a Joe Schmo and sell 1 million pay-per-views. So, but he's still going to want his $6-7 million. And everybody else in the entire staff of PBC still has to be paid. The other fighters, all the other 30 other fighters on the card, because there are plenty of fights before the one you see, those 4 fights you see on the pay-per-view card. There are plenty of other fights and mouths they have to get fed. They have to pay for the arena. And I'm not justifying. The thing about it is they have to protect margins. So when you see two fighters going back and forth that you want to see, your job is to get off of your ass and retweet, pass it to your boys, tag people, retweet, share, comment, because that's what determines if that fight's going to happen. Because Mike Tyson was shared and viewed over 4 billion times when his fight with Roy Jones was announced. Guess what? That's exactly why he fought. Because if those numbers weren't there, that fight would not have happened. It hadn't happened like that when the talks of Holyfield. It hadn't happened like that with the talks of Lennox Lewis. It's not going to happen until those numbers meet, and you're in control over those guys fighting. So please don't complain. Just understand the game, and to make sure you share. And when you're interacting in social media, bring the impressions up, sharing and conversating on these videos, because all of the people that matter in the sport of boxing are watching on these feeds like you are. So those people out here in YouTube, they're watching. It's probably what, 100 people watching over there, and it's probably 2,000 watching right here. Before tomorrow, it'll be 8,000 and 10,000. So those people over on YouTube, you got to do the exact same thing. So special shouts out to my man over here on YouTube. Would be the, I don't know, Wilder and White. How do you stop closing out? Oh yeah, you was on YouTube. So these are the things that you got to understand. Your impressions in social media carry a lot of weight, because what they're doing is calculating the percentage of the people that will buy out of the amount of people that are chiming in. That's why you were able to make Floyd Mayweather, Conor McGregor. That's why you were able to make Mayweather and Logan Paul. That's why you were able to make Jake Paul and whoever, because Jake is doing numbers. And so you have to get behind these guys in the sport. Special shouts out to Christy Martin. She has an amazing documentary coming out August 17th. So make sure you tune in. We will put some stuff up there once she sends it to me to post up here. And I want you all to support boxing, or it won't stay on Netflix long enough to be one of the more viewed. And that's what you as audience have to understand about the sport of boxing. You got to support it. Comment. Stop being so damn lazy. Like, comment, share. Those are impressions, and tag people. That's what measures the interest of a fight. I hope that makes sense. So it's your fault. And I'm not meaning it's your fault. That's what they're reading. The numbers don't lie. So comment, just hit like or dislike. They rock with that too. Long as it's an impression, don't let it be because of you that these fights aren't happening. They need to see numbers. They need to see millions upon millions of impressions for these fights. Hell, our page gets 3 or 4 million impressions. So what do you think they're looking for? They're looking for 20, 30 million impressions. So you got to be a part of it. So I hope this was really good for you. And we will chop it up on Pacquiao Errol Spence next week when we do Can I Box. So special shouts out to my brothers, my new brothers in the school of boxing, my fraternity brothers. And for those of you who are looking to do something smart, make sure you connect with us. That's all I got for right now. Until next time, continue blessings from South Florida. My name is Eric A. Bradley, and it's signing out. Until next time, peace.